One of the big ticket items that came with the Abyss of the Goth update is of course the Hydroid Rework, and now he's in a pretty good spot. Nice. We're here in the Simulacrum with Hydroid, and what a time to be alive that we can say, yeah, he's actually really good now. His abilities have changed a little bit, but they're not too different. His first ability is still Tempest Barrage. It works pretty much the same as it used to, except it now has innate corrosive procs, and that's really, really important because his new passive is basically that corrosive procs are really, really good with him. This is in the sense that they basically work as they used to before that status rework that basically made corrosive procs not nearly as good as they used to be, I guess. His second ability is still Tidal Surge. I've removed it because I don't care about it. I've swapped it with Dispensary. It is what it is. His third ability is called Plunder. You basically grab armor from enemies, which of course gives you some damage reduction, but then on top of that, it makes your corrosive damage do more damage. So that's of course going to be really, really good. So as you can see, we are starting to get some bigger numbers. If I were to go over here, yeah, we're starting to see some 6Ks in there. Yeah, so it seems like Tempest Barrage kind of snapshots your rousing plunder, or rather your plunder level at the present moment. I'm not sure if snapshotting really even is a thing in Warframe, but let's just assume that snapshotting is a thing for now, because that would explain why we were still seeing some 2.5Ks. But yeah, essentially that's the idea. And then of course we have finally Tentacle Swarm. And Tentacle Swarm is pretty much the exact same as it used to be, except it doesn't flail enemies around, so it's basically now just straight up hard CC. Let's have a look at the build that I am using on Hydroid before I demonstrate the way that I am actually really, really liking playing Hydroid, because he's actually pretty hilarious to play now, and really, really interactive. This is the build that I'm using on Hydroid. A zero former build. And that means that you can actually do this as well with relatively low investment. In fact, relatively no investment, now that I think about it. Basically, we've got some really, really expensive mods in the form of Prime Continuity and Prime Flow. That should be really straightforward and self-explanatory. Redirection for that extra shield capacity, which of course is going to work in tandem with the shield gating changes that I discussed in the mag video. Equilibrium is a lot better now, because you don't need to necessarily have a companion that's still alive, quote-unquote alive, for this, and you don't necessarily need to use synth fiber anymore. So of course, this is really, really good. It just works all the damn time. And then of course we have Intensify and Stretch. These are straightforward stock standard mods. Enemy Radar is the aura that I've chosen, but I have heard from the grapevine that apparently this might just be innately available for everyone regardless of whether or not you use Enemy Radar anyway. So perhaps you might be able to swap this out for something else. Whatever you want to use is entirely up to you. You might want to put an aura former in at that point. And then of course we have 3 augments. The first one is going to be Viral Tempest. Basically the idea is that instead of just doing corrosive procs with my Tempest Barrage, I'm also doing viral procs with my Tempest Barrage, so viral and corrosive, always a good choice together. And then of course we have Pilfering Swarm, where enemies will basically be able to get looted a lot better, as they have always been with Pilfering Swarm. And I'm also using Repair Dispensary, whereby that basically means that if my companions are down, then my dispensary will also provide me with a pickup that will reduce the timer of my companions trying to get back up, which should be really, really good. You don't actually have to do anything in particular to activate this ability, as far as I can tell from reading the augment, so it's even easier to use now. And in terms of the arcanes that I'm using Aegis, so that basically allows me to stay alive for 12 seconds, and Blessing, which allows me to have even more health, which of course is going to happen because I'm using Dispensary. At this point, it is potentially a good idea to figure out how you're going to swap something out for something like Rousing Plunder, which is Hydroid's third ability augment. And if you decide to use that, which provides you a heal, then you could potentially consider using Archon Intensify instead of just regular Intensify in order to get some additional power strength. Now, the way that I have really enjoyed playing Hydroid myself is through the use of just spamming his Tempest Barrage in a very specific circumstance. So, let's have a look at how that happens. Hey guys, this is Kate the Editor. Let's not have a look at how that happens and instead look at how this happens, because it turns out that if you want to use Plunder, you actually do need to apply some corrosive procs onto the enemies first before you then use Plunder to get yourself some maximum extra damage on your corrosive damage, which in turn will then increase the amount of damage that your abilities and your weapons are going to do if they happen to be doing some corrosive damage. That's basically where we're at with Hydroid. He is particularly good for mobile defense missions and other defense mission types where enemies are running to you. So if you can pair him up with like a Volban or a Mag or whatever, then yeah, you're going to be having a really, really hilarious time. But then on top of that, you're just doing a lot of damage, both in the corrosive department, but also with corrosive and viral stats. Meaning when you pair him up with a weapon like the Staff of Armadillo, which has innate corrosive damage, whew, oh yeah, you're going to be doing a lot of damage. Now, that being said though, it might be worth considering finding a weapon that does puncture damage and cold damage. For example, the Paris Prime when built with cold. Because that might actually be even better, because at that point you can also then increase your crit chance and crit damage through the use of puncture and cold procs. So that's something to think about, and with the fact that Tentacle Swarm no longer flails enemies around, it should be easier to do that. So, you know, maybe give that a try. But yeah, that's just basically my thoughts on Hydroid at the present moment. He seems pretty good. He's not necessarily like a massively over-broken character type dealio. Obviously, I still think Harrow and Mag are better than him, but either way, like, he's still really, really good. And you don't need to put a Nama Strip ability on him, because his corrosive procs will basically do it. Yeah, so he's really, really nice. Would have liked to see Puddle back, but whatever. It is what it is. Yeah. Not really a whole lot left to say. Thanks for watching, everyone. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe. Let me know what you think about all this in the comments below in terms of like how you're playing Hydroid and how much former you may have put on him, because like I said, this is a zero former build that I've demonstrated. But until next time, I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching. Peace.